Welcome back to Basement Dweller Tabletop. I've got a little story to tell tonight, and it all centers around this little guy. A standee made for an apocalypse game, probably 19 years ago. So once upon a time, I had a conversation with a buddy of mine. My wife was interested in playing some apocalypse with us. We used to do an annual game right around New Year's. We'd get together and everybody would pull out all their armies and they would play. And she was hoping to use some Marines and try out the game, and got into a discussion with somebody when she suggested that she could use proxies. Well, they said, "Well, you can't do proxies. They don't have the right size. They don't have the right scale. You can't tell the difference between them. They're really hard to use, and they're hard on the other players." And they got into a little, I don't want to say a scuffle, but a discussion about it. And she decided that she was going to prove him wrong. So this is a tactical marine. Back in the era when there wasn't a whole lot besides tactical marines. This is the paper tigers. So we have infantry squads, sergeants with chainswords, missile launcher marines, backed up by the tactical marines. You've got rhinos, not exactly the same size as the actual model, but very, very close to the older model. The newer one's a little bit bigger than that. So we've got our 6 squads of tactical marines, all mounted in 6 rhinos, which made a detachment back in the era of Apocalypse, which gave you some special rules. I guess you check out my Apocalypse video if you want to hear a little bit more about those rules. And then we've got a phalanx of land raiders. This was a command tank. There's the commander poking out of the top. And over here we have whirlwinds. And there are even a couple of vindicators. So these proxies were a very, very close match to the actual size of the miniatures. Let me zoom out a little bit. See the whole chapter here. It's not a complete chapter, I know. It's not even a complete battle company, but it is a whole lot of fun on the board. And today, it's quite a few points. We're talking about 1,000 points worth of Land Raiders, probably another 500 points between the Whirlwinds and the Vindicators, and then you got Marines. Use them as tacticals. They're not a whole lot of points. But you got your Rhino, you got your tacticals. They're at least, I want to say about 120 for a squad of 10, 130 maybe. And then, so about 200, 400, 600, 800, 1,000, 1,200. So easily 2,000 points for the Space Marines in paper proxies. If you want to, if you do this kind of proxying, so these just use a clip on the bottom where you've taken the metal prongs off so you can't open and close it anymore, but it's just clipped on. It's really nice. Back when they were brand new, you don't do that anymore because I think the papers absorb some moisture, so the paper's a little bit less springy and a little bit heavier. But when they were brand new, you could deep strike a squad by picking the whole squad up in your hand and just dropping it on the table, and they would all stand up like weebles. It was amazing. Might have to make some new ones and see if we can't reproduce that particular effect. But this is the paper tigers. So if you are interested in a very inexpensive way to get into the hobby, try it out with your friends. The game is about playing and having fun with your friends. Ooh, yeah, I'll set this up so we could look at it. This is a current Primaris Marine versus a proxied paper tiger. So a little smaller. The paper itself is very close to the Marine size, but it would be an easy matter to increase the size of the paper to match the size of your Primaris, and then find yourself some circles. You can cut out 32 mil circles and paste glue them to the bottom of these clips, and you would have your bases attached to your proxies. So super simple, super simple. And then these guys are pretty nifty. She did all of the drawing on this, made a master of each one, scanned it in. We were able to print out a bunch of them, cut them and tape them and glue them and stick them together. Real simple. So they're hollow on the bottom. Hey, it's the precursor to the Rogel Dorn. They've got no bottom on the bottom. And it's got the panels on the front. This guy looks like he's missing one of his carriage components on the left-hand side there. But then your smokestacks, you got little stacks on the top. Now the tops are a little bit different than the even the classics. I think this got modeled after a Predator kit, a metal Predator kit, which had that kind of funky shape across the top. That's what she used to model them. That's the Rhino and the Land Raiders. And again, I said this is almost 20 years ago when these were made, and they've held up pretty well. I just stuck them in a couple of containers, like a little squished, and that'll happen with paper proxies, paper models. But in the meantime, she's been able to play a few games, got interested, did some miniatures. Has a really nice Marnius Calgar I need to pop out and show you guys. Lace cannon, look at that, pretty cool. Didn't trace anything, just kind of eyeballed it. Found some pictures of the Land Raider. I think I had one Land Raider at the time of the newer models. I've got a couple of the old ones floating around too, but you know, fun stuff. Lots of death. Looks like a zipper on the back. The power plant looks like it has a zipper down the middle. That's hilarious. It's amazing. She's got some artistic skill, but I really think anybody could do just the general structure. You can add as much detail as you want. You can make them more or less detailed, as long as you get the shape, the general idea of the miniature, you're doing great. Again, made some whirlwind doodads to go on the top. Back when they were the boxes, they didn't have the funky rocket pods. This is the classic. And my favorite is the Vindicator, just because of the boxy cannon. I love that. It doesn't stick out like the classic Vindicator or even the current Vindicator, but it's got the big bulldozer blade on the front. When you're bearing down on you, it's pretty impressive. Same kind of structure as the Rhinos. A lot of the same details as the Rhinos. So again, once you get that Rhino kit, I mean, you throw a little boxy turret on the top and do some little sponsons on the side, you'd have a Predator too. So it'd be super easy. You could even do, what were the weird ones? The Stalker and the Hunter, those anti-aircraft ones that they don't sell anymore. What other Rhino variants are floating around out there? And if you didn't want to do Rhinos, you could get the basic dimensions of like a Repulsor or an Executioner. This is a really, really good way. If your friends are interested in trying out Warhammer and you want to get them into it, but you don't want them to get mad at you for spending $1,000 to even think about starting an army, this is a great way to get them onto the board. Get them used to the way it plays. And you can even try out, this is very much akin to Tabletop Simulator, but 3D actual physical, yeah, like actual game. Moving your guys around the board. Oh, I gotta hide them behind terrain. What's it look like? You're hiding them behind terrain. Oh, there's my Rhino full of Marines hiding from the orcs. Super fun, super fun. Really easy. It was great blast from the past to get these out of the boxes and take a look at them. There's more stuff in store on the channel. We'll be finishing up the Guard Army, finishing up my orcs. So a couple other armies floating around. I have a immense pile of delayed reinforcements. I've decided I'm going to change what I call my unpainted minis. They're my delayed reinforcements. I'm not ashamed of them, so it's definitely not a pile of shame. Opportunity, some people like pile of opportunity or bucket up opportunity, but I like delayed reinforcements because it just means I got more guys to pick from, more Marines, more Guard, more everything, more. Always seems like there's more out there to paint and build, and GW is always trying to create some new thing that we get interested in. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, Paper Tigers, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you got questions, shoot them my way. I've got some retractions from my how to play videos. I did have some conversation with Trevi from Tactical Tortoise, and he hasn't 100% convinced me, but I think that the general consensus of the community right now is what he's talking about in hand. And I think he's about to do a video for it, so I won't spoil anything. But yeah. Paper Tigers. Lots of fun. All right. Everybody have a great night.